Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 10, Episode 41. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being with us on this Wednesday, Steelers Nation. I know we just did Tuesday's show because of the shortened week, but still so much to talk about, Dave. Good to be back with you.
Yeah, good to be back with you as well, too. How's your health? Can you run the football?
Well, I'm more concerned about James Conner right now running the football than myself. Even with the injured James Conner, he's a much better runner than I would be.
Yeah, I think you're a little bit healthier than he is right now, though. But, yeah, I would probably pick him still over you as well, too. No offense.
None taken. And because of the injuries to Conner and Snell and the running back position, we'll start with a little bit of news that came in right before we began the podcast. The Steelers signing running back Darren Hall to the practice squad, releasing tight end Kevin Rader in a corresponding move. Hall, a Pitt guy, was brought in for a workout a couple weeks ago when they signed another running back instead. So that's going to give them some short-term running back depth, while guys like Conner and Snell, even if they were to play on Sunday against the Colts, are certainly going to be limited early in the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Darren Hall, University of Pittsburgh, a guy that they brought in a couple of weeks ago. At the same time, they tried out Tony Brooks-James. They didn't sign him at the time, but had him in the Rolodex there. And of course, with him being probably local still, made him real easy to bring back or sign to the roster this week as a practice squad body. James Conner, I don't know how much work he's going to get this week, if any, during practice. So, and really the same goes for Benny Snell and Mike Tomlin. Kind of talked about, if James Conner is healthy enough to go, he's one that doesn't need much, if any, work during the weekend practice. The same, however, can't be said for Benny Snell. He's a guy that needs to practice to be able to play. We'll have to see how the rest of the week goes. I'm not expecting them, obviously. I don't think you are either, expecting either one of those two to practice today or probably tomorrow either. That leaves the team with Jalen Samuels, Trey Edmonds, and Tony Brooks-James, and now Darren Hall is four healthy running backs. Obviously, they have Roosevelt Nix as a fullback, but not a guy that you're going to be handing the football off unless you can help doing so there. So a banged-up group here. James Conner was on 93.7 to Fan. Late on, where I got my days mixed up, Tuesday there, and he said that essentially he'll probably come down to being a game time decision as far as the Sunday game against the Colts. And everything looks positive right now, but his shoulder, it was painful for him. He's just going to take it day by day, and he's going to be honest with the team on top of it. And this is a guy in James Conner that, man, even if you have him healthy and he's able to go against the Colts, you got to think that he's not. Him and Jalen Samuels are going to do a lot of splitting of the work there.
I would agree. Exactly, Dave. Also, I mean, maybe they turn to Ryan Switzer for a couple of running back snaps if Conner nor Snell can go, and they don't want to call someone up. I'm just spitballing ideas. But yeah, I mean, Conner's usually optimistic. Players in general usually very optimistic about their injury status. I think Conner's giving a pretty clear reality of a situation and a little more pessimistic, which has me certainly more concerned than I was 24 hours ago based on the comments he made in the interview on his radio show. So we'll see what the week takes you. I think it's a pretty good chance Snell's not going to go, especially if he misses time early in the week based on what Tomlin said at his press conference Tuesday. I think Conner's very much up in the air, but the good news is that he avoided any sort of season-ending injury. He even said as much, and I think if he does miss time, it'll miss just 1 week with that AC injury.
Yeah, James Washington just came off a similar type injury, we think, and it cost him a game in there. And same with Vance McDonald as well too there. So we'll get a lot better idea, obviously, towards the end of the week when it comes to these guys in the injury report, and really a good idea comes Saturday probably, right? Because we'll see if one of these two practice squad running backs get elevated to the 53-man roster, and Look, Jalen Samuels hasn't. I guess you have to go back to last year versus New England. The last time he had a substantial role in the offense there, and he might have to do it again. And thank goodness he's coming off that. You still worry about him a little bit. So soon removed from that knee injury, but Mike Tomlin did say on it was I think it was on Tuesday that he was close, and they just chose to basically err on the side of caution with him.
Right, and I wonder if they do have to bring somebody up from the practice squad. If Connor nor Snell can go, they got obviously make a roster move, and you're carrying 5 backs at that point, but you're not cutting Trey Edmonds either. He's got to stay on the roster, so you have three backs healthy for game day. So I'd be curious on the roster decision if that's Paxton Lynch or somebody else. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, we will. Well, you're getting close to that time with Dante Moncrief, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I don't know if that's the way that they're going to go, obviously, but I mean, here we are in week 9. You're gonna have to, as my old man said, poop or get off the pot, right?
I'm sure he said that exactly, verbatim. Now, well, I want to ask you really quickly, and I don't have a problem with it, but I know that Tomlin's gotten some criticism for Connor getting that carry late in the game. That was that second down play that injured him. And that may cause him to miss this week. I didn't have a problem with it because Benny Snell was hurt. Trey Edmonds hadn't gotten any reps, and it still was a 2-possession game. I still want to try to get the first down, close out the game, and just end things. So I didn't have a problem with Connor being in the game. Did you?
No, not. Look, you expect your guys to go in there. It's not like it was a 30-point lead, right? I mean,
right.
And Edmonds has not carried the ball. Did not. I think Mike Tomlin even said didn't get many reps in practice, and that's to be expected.
Mm-hmm.
So you want the guys that you have the confidence in that are used to running the plays, carrying the football. So. No, I mean it's one of those freak things that happen. I mean, I don't take issue with Connor being in the game carrying the football when you're trying to sit on a lead.
Right, me neither. All right, so that covers kind of the update on the injury report, and we talked about the whole detailed breakdown that Tomlin gave on yesterday's show. But let's revisit Tomlin's press conference briefly. If anything came up now that you had a chance to revisit it, Dave, and kind of go through the transcript a little bit more thoroughly. Anything else that Tomlin said that caught your eye in yesterday's press conference?
Let me pull it back up to see here. He was asked a few early questions about Jacoby Brissett. Nothing real surprising there. Just, talk about low turnover ratio that Jacoby Brissett has. Boy, when you watch that guy on tape, man, good thing that this defense has had some history in the past of tackling Ben Roethlisberger, right? Or at least crawling all over Ben Roethlisberger. I'm not sure how much tackling of Ben Roethlisberger has gone on during practice over the years, but this is a guy that's hard to bring down,
Well, he made that play against Denver last week.
Oh, Lord. Sure did. He went on to be asked, is Cameron Hayward going to have a larger percentage of play moving forward? He says, not necessarily so. Hopefully guys evolve. Some of these, some of those new guys I mentioned, maybe that's just the beginning for a guy like Isaiah Buggs, Did you get, well, I guess we'll talk about Buggs here in a little bit, see if you got a chance to focus in on him. I didn't last 24 hours. LT Walton we just acquired last week. He got off the couch, maybe he's more conditioned to play in a more viable option for us, I think is as we go and guys grow and show their capabilities, we'll just adjust accordingly, and it may or may not mean more snaps for Cameron Hayward. Of course, we talked about the snaps, the divvying of snaps in that show the other day there on Tuesday. He was asked about his weight lifted off of his shoulders after winning his first challenge the other night. He says, not really, man. I didn't feel any better about the challenge than I do many of the ones that I lost. I felt good about it, but I felt good about the ones that I've lost. So you never know what you're going to get. He was asked if he saw that right away. He said, yeah, I saw it from the field. Sometimes when you're on the field and you're at the line to gain, you have a perspective, so I didn't necessarily need to replay. I was on the field level. We talked a little bit more about James Conner, Benny Snell possibly missing time. He talked about, what else did he talk about? Yeah, I think that was kind of the bulk of it. I thought he was a little strong with his praise for Roosevelt Nix, and we talked about that. I think yesterday as well too. I've gone back through the tape, and I don't think you've paid as close attention as you should have to Roosevelt Nix. He did not, in my opinion, have a great game at all.
Well, I mean, I don't want to split hairs. I thought it was an okay game. I thought there were a couple impact plays, some plays where he showed some rust, obviously, some plays where the back just, made a cut in a different direction, and that makes it look worse than probably what it was. But I just like the physicality, the energy, and then I know this isn't specific to Knicks, but just I think when you run out of eye form, the C's part a little bit better the way that you can block it up. You don't always have to have the lineman be that lead blocker. You don't always have certainly don't if you're running a lead strong play. And so you kind of get the down blocks by the lineman that helps the fullback get one-on-one. And it just kind of helps, I think, create the run lane better than, say, in a duo concept where you're following behind the guard and the center, for example. And I think it kind of muddies things up more in that situation as opposed to just a lead strong play. So I just like the physicality that he had. I thought there were a couple positive plays. The block he had on Connor, 25-yard run, was a great one. There were some ugly ones. I think it was a good performance. Well, maybe good's too strong. An okay performance from Knicks. Showed some rust, but I was just really happy just to have his presence out there. I think there's an energy that the team rallies around when you see big 45, lead blocking for you.
Yeah, and I think his presence. I get that comment, but let's leave it at that because it was not good.
That block on the 25-yarder was a great play.
Right, but I mean that's the only thing that he has to hang his hat on.
Well, I mean it's a pretty good thing to hang your hat on.
Sure, but I mean if I lay out, that's why we use successful run rates and not yards per carry, right?
But you can't blame Knicks for all success or all failure in the successful run rate. That's not just based on Knicks' job. Knicks can do his job and you could have an unsuccessful play.
No, but a lot of the plays he had that he got blown up on or stymied in the backfield resulted in zero gains or lost yardage there. So,
well, that's fair, but that's using the tape. That's not using just the stat, because the stat doesn't tell you the job that an individual did. It tells you the job of the unit. You know what I mean?
Right, but I mean the stat played into part of the performance there on several of those plays.
Sure, yeah. When you talk about
it was a byproduct of bad blocking. Yeah, I think you're dying on the wrong hill here.
Well, I said it was an okay performance. I don't think that's a hill where I'm dying on. I say that the guy played okay. He had a couple nice plays. There were some, like the one where he whiffed because Connor bounced it left and the linebacker scraped down a gap instead. The back took it the way that it wasn't drawn up to go. It's not the fullback can't really do anything about that the way an offensive lineman can. If the quarterback leaves the pocket and you lose your block, like what do you want the guy to do in that situation?
Yeah, but he was not good. Okay is still too strong.
I mean, again, I'm not going to go into semantics about it, but I think if you look at the 25-yarder that he helped spring, that's a good block right there. So, I mean, it's hard to have a bad performance when you help create the biggest play of the game that the run game's really had in weeks on the second carry of the night. And I just thought he was physical. And, again, I think there were a couple blocks that looked bad but really weren't his fault.
Mason Rudolph, 45.9 score from Pro Football Focus. We talked the other day that he probably wasn't going to grade out very well despite the totality of the game being okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a just dreadful start. The weird thing with Rudolph, obviously there were mechanical issues. There were issues with throwing off his back foot. I think maybe some issues with his front foot not being pointed to his target. You want your front foot as a quarterback when you throw the ball, you want to point it to where the ball needs to go, not where your target is currently at. And I think there were some issues there that led to those throws being behind, especially to James Washington, and throws over the middle that created a problem there. But just some of his pocket presence was unusually poor to start. And again, I think you can attribute a lot of that to rust and things like that. But he was really a statue back there in the first quarter where he would just not get off his spot, even though Miami was rushing only 3 guys in some situations and really had the chance to move around, extend the play, and just keep the play alive as opposed to just standing in your spot and trying to make a throw at the first sign of pressure. So there was some weird pocket presence problems that he had early in the game that I thought got better as the game went on. And so I think the poor pocket presence was really the number one reason why, in addition to his mechanics, is why he struggled as much as he did early in that game.
And we saw him straighten some of that out as it got into, look, there's a third quarter. I think it was a third quarter throw to Juju over the middle, about an 11 or 12 yard throw. that was great of him stepping up deep in his own end and firing that ball right out over the middle there. So that was a great throw there. The throw, once again, I think that one that keeps getting forgotten is the one down the left sideline to Juju. That one.
The 34-yarder.
You're right. That one was on a rope. That was a good throw by him. Obviously, you can go through this play by play. However, and man, he was off target on a lot of them. Obviously, the interception was not great. Why he decided to step to the side there and basically right into the oncoming sinking Pouncey, if you will, in the pocket there, and then try to make the throw with full touch over the top of that was a poor decision there. The bad throw to Vance McDonald, another one. You had one over the middle behind James Washington there, but on the flip side, the touchdown to Juju. People are still trying to make a little bit of a big deal about the ball placement on that touchdown to Juju, and had Ben Roethlisberger made that throw, we wouldn't even bat an eye at that one.
I mean, it was a little underthrown, but that's going to happen sometimes. He let his receiver make a play. We talked about that play yesterday. I thought he did a nice job to manipulate the free safety and make that a one-on-one opportunity, and a little underthrown, but I thought, still enough to be competitive for Juju, and obviously he made the play.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I thought it would be a 45.9 score from Pro Football Focus, but I thought it would be one of the lower ones there, because once again, I think we're dealing with. I think you judge that game by the totality of how it started and how it had with him ending it and overcoming, more so than the play-by-play aspect of it.
Absolutely. I look at the response of how bad that start was and how much better he got and how quickly he put that terrible first quarter behind him. So the grade, you're right, the grade does not represent, I think, how well he played and what you could learn about him in a positive way.
Let's see who else stuck out in this one in the positive. Zach Banner, boy, what a rock star he's becoming. He had a nice pancake during that game as well on one of those runs for short yard, or that didn't gain a lot, but nice block there. I thought Alejandro Villanueva played a good game in this one. That reflects in the score. Obviously, Juju had a strong game. Who else? What
did you think of Finney? Did you get a chance to watch Finney through?
Yeah, I did. I thought he played okay. Yeah, I didn't see anything really egregious when it came to him.
And Foster, did you see when Foster got concussed? Because I picked up on it.
I didn't see it. When did it happen?
It was actually on the Deontay Johnson touchdown. He got pushed back and fell hard backwards. So last play of the half was when Foster got concussed, which I guess he's still in protocol.
Right, he is in protocol, or at least what Mike Tomlin said he was yesterday there. So offensive line really, I think top to bottom, I think probably Pouncey was your probably your weakest link there. But I mean, it wasn't like it was an awful game with him. Mostly it was the pass blocking when it came to Pouncey, and the penalties, of course, there. But overall, top to bottom, I thought it was a okay game by the offensive line.
I think they played really well. I like that clip you showed last night of Villanueva, and if you're on Twitter, go find Dave's timeline, because you'll be able to see the play better than me trying to describe it. But just him flashing his hands, varying his set, because a lot of pass rushers know that Villanueva is going to try to short set you and try to attack you and use his length and physicality and strength that he has. So on that particular rep, he flashed his hands, got the defender to kind of commit, and then chopped him back down. So I like being able to vary up your sets and your rush and being able to kind of play this little cat and mouse game with the edge rusher. And I think Villanueva had one of his better games of the year.
Boy, with that trap of his, right? It's powerful.
Yep. Get on that joint, that wrist, knock it down.
He'll double those people over. And he had that who was that on that play? Do you remember who was rushing on that play?
I don't remember. No, I don't remember the defender.
But he had him doubled over and then had him in almost like a headlock there. Had him had his body up over the top of him there, and that wasn't going anywhere there. So, man, what? Don't take this offensive line for granted.
And that's why I push back. When Booger said it, and on my timeline, I still get comments about, this offensive line's been a weak link. I just think that's just so knee-jerk reaction to one game or one play that I don't even know how someone thinks that this offensive line is anything resembling a weakness.
Man, we are living in great times right now when it comes to offensive line. For them to have these guys and the continuity and the health that all these guys had, knock on wood, for as long as they had. Yeah, Villanueva gets off the slow starts during the season, but he's straightened out now. Filer, heck, we don't even hardly talk about Filer being over on that other side. You got still some great interior guys in Pouncey, Foster, and obviously DeCastro. I mean, what more can you want? I mean, if you're splitting hairs on those guys and picking out individual plays and calling guys weakest links, man, what a great problem to have.
And they're all scheduled to be back, all the starters at least, to be back next year. I mean, I know Foster, you could debate about his situation, but he's under contract for next year too. So if the Steelers want to bring all 5 back, they certainly can, and they probably will.
Yeah, I think the biggest question mark is with Foster potentially, and can you manage to get Finney back too?
Right.
That's if you don't, you're going to be out there probably looking for another center/guard.
Sure.
It
is hard to envision both coming back next year.
It is, especially when you look at the kind of the cap situation we're expecting there, and but that's next year, So, but as of right now. Look, Ramon Foster keeps proving the doubters wrong. Does he have one more year past this year in him? I don't know. And what are you doing with Alejandro Villanueva next year? Or are you? He's on the wrong side of 30. I mean, do you still try to maybe assign him to a 2 or 3 year extension to get that cap number down? I mean, there's nothing really to make you think that this guy is coming up on the end of his career. You would at least think he's got, 2 good years left in him.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with a 2, even 3 year extension. I want to make sure he stays around long term. I don't want to have to go through the process of finding another left tackle of his caliber again. And yes, while he's on the wrong side of 30, as you said, I mean, I think you mentioned this on a previous podcast, and it's obvious really to anyone, is that this is a guy that hasn't been playing football since he was 22 years old. I mean, he was when did he start playing football? At least in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, the second time around, he was 26. So he doesn't have the wear and tear that a typical tackle would have. Plus, tackles can play a little bit longer and be a little bit older than interior linemen. Look at Andrew Whitworth out there in L.A. The Steelers will see in a couple weeks. He's 37 years old, oldest tackle in football. So I think the shelf life on those tackles can be a little bit longer. The only concern with Villanueva and his age is that he always has those. Was it the shoulder issue he always has in camp, or the elbow issue that I wonder if that's going to be something that might be a recurring thing that gets worse as he gets older.
Boy, what an Iron Man he is. He's up to, right now, consecutive regular season games played in 71. Wow. As far as consecutive regular season games started, he's up to 65 in that. Remember that post that I did? I don't know. It's been over, I think it was ahead of last season, talking about uncharted territory as far as starts go for a left tackle. For the Steelers specifically. I mean, we have seen obviously some very good Steelers left tackles over the years, going way back in to the 70s, and but he's now crushed all of that. To have a guy like him play as long as he has consecutively, and to play as good as he's at. I think we're seriously in the realm right now talking about him being the best Steelers left tackle of all time.
Wow, who would also be the competition? I'm just trying to think of the names. Marvell Smith. Help me out here, Dave. You're good at these things. Was John Colbert a left tackle or a right tackle? He kind of moved around, didn't he?
What about Penny? Where was Penny at in there?
Yeah. Was Tunch a left tackle?
I just thought they played Tunch all over the place there, and on both sides as well. Hold on here, and I'll pull up the.
Yeah, I'll vamp a little bit. I mean, because the Steelers are obviously known for their centers first and foremost when you're talking about. Dirt Dawson, Webby, Ray Mansfield.
Oh, Kolb is the other guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I said Kolb. I wasn't sure if he was a right tackle or a left tackle. But in terms of overall tackles, he'd be up there. Maybe by the time his career is over. Absolutely. And just the continuity for this whole offensive line. You got 3 starters. DeCastro, Pouncey, Foster with over 100 starts. I mean, there's only 27 linemen in football with 100 career starts. Steelers have 3 of them. Only 9 of those 27 have been with one team in their career. Steelers have 3 of them. You got Villanueva, who's got 70-something starts, and he might even have the Steelers' current active streak for snaps played consecutively. I'm not sure who the leader is. I know it was Terrell Edmonds until he had that broken a couple weeks ago, so he might be up there in terms of the most snaps consecutively played.
I just had this article pulled up here. Let's see. Think about all of Villanueva's primary predecessors at left tackle going all the way back to the great John Kolb. That list of players includes Kelvin Beachum, Mike Adams. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh there. Max Starks, Marvell Smith, Wayne Gandy, John Jackson, and Ray Penny. And none of them were able to string together starting streaks at left tackle longer than the one Villanueva currently has, and and this article was written by me July 5th, 2018. At the time there, when Villanueva's streak of 42 regular season games, that's where it was at that time there. So, I mean, is this the greatest left tackle of all time in Steeler history?
It'd be up there, and if he plays another 2-3 years, then yeah. Is he the best tackle of all time too? If you go left and right side, maybe not, but he'd be up there. He's been obviously a gem of a find.
And he's currently signed through, of course, the 2020 season. You would think that if they were going to do an extension with him, I mean, if I'm him, I'm telling him you guys got to do something anyway because he's only making $5 million. Mm-hmm. You know, it's time. I mean, I know you want to make, you want to take advantage of the valued, the high value contracts when you can, but there comes a time too where you've got to pay a guy.
And he deserves to be paid.
Yeah, especially if he stays healthy between now and the end of the regular season, he deserves to be paid. And you can do so, and you can lower his cap number a little bit in the process. You can sign him to, I don't know, a 2-year extension, 3-year extension, or whatnot, and then you don't have to worry about it. And really, I think right now, Alex, I mean, do you really have to worry about going into this next draft and drafting a tackle at all?
Probably not. I mean, you have a Corfu who's probably been a bit of a disappointment and kind of taken a step back his second year being inactive, but you got Banner. I think if you're going to address anything, it's going to be that interior position, assuming that one of Foster or Finney is not going to be on this roster in 2020. So if you're going to attack any area, it's probably going to be interior guys as opposed to tackles.
I would agree, and I think you could see maybe, maybe an absolute starting guard or a center / guard, depending on what happens at the guard position during the offseason.
Remember, you have Duran Gray on the practice squad too. Come back next year and see what you have with him.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, as late as he was in a position switch, I think you're just kind of holding your breath right now. You're not banking on it, I guess, is what I'm saying. When it comes to him. Now here's I forgot where I was going to go in terms of the offensive line here. But I mean, look, you got Banner, who I feel kind of comfortable. I hope we don't have to see it, but I mean, he seems to be a more than adequate swing guy right now.
Well, here's my question with Banner: is that in game, Villanueva gets hurt, and the Iron Man streak ends. Is Banner your left tackle?
And I guess I would think so.
Because it's either that or move Filer, and I
don't know if you want to move Filer.
No, I wouldn't. But I'm not super comfortable with Banner at left tackle either. But I'm guessing that's the move because you don't have. I mean, if it's a long-term thing, then a Corfu could be active and he may become the left tackle, and I'd be comfortable with that. But I think in game it'd be Banner.
Let's see here. Oh, I know where I was going to go with this. What if Ramon Foster? And we think he'll make it by game time. At least, I mean, I'm guessing. I don't know. But let's assume Foster does not make it out of concussion protocol in time. That sets up for an interesting situation, does it? In as far as interior linemen go, because you never really even filled the spot that you had there when you lost Fred Johnson, right? So, right. I mean, Banner, you're not going to. He's not a guy you're going to kick. Well, I guess you could kick Filer inside, huh?
Yeah. Unfortunately, you would have to do the whole everybody shuffles thing, which you don't like to do. So if hypothetically Foster would have missed, Finney starts at left guard. Let's say that Finney goes down mid-game or if Pouncey goes down mid-game or DeCastro, any of those guys, then Filer's going to kick inside to whatever spot and Finney's going to move around. Or, just say if Finney goes down, Filer will kick the left guard, Banner comes in on right tackle. If Pouncey went down, Finney would kick the center, Filer to left guard, Banner to right tackle. Unfortunately, it gets super messy, but that's going to be the way you have to approach it.
Yeah, at least you wouldn't have to make a roster move on Saturday.
Right. Hey, I don't think they would if even if Foster is inactive or doesn't plan to be active.
Yeah, I think you would just end up just dressing the guys that you're dressing. You would dress Chooks over Foster is what would happen.
Sure. Yep, that'd be the change there. But we'll see with Foster. No update really on that. As Tomlin says, protocol. He'll get cleared when he gets cleared, and we'll have an update. I'm assuming, hopefully he can at least be limited today, Foster can. That would be a good sign that he's progressing through the protocol, but ultimately we'll have to wait and see if he gets cleared by the doctors.
And normally, and it didn't happen last week, but normally Foster gets a day anyway, a better day. True. That might be, obviously he might have to take that day today with concussion protocol. But I think Thursday or Friday will be obviously the key day when it comes to Foster there, one would think, even though I guess he could get cleared by Saturday evening and not get any practice in. That certainly wouldn't be ideal. While we have a little time, though, I mean, what is your prediction on Villanueva? Do you think he gets and Foster and Finney for that matter? If your hand is held to the fire right now, what's going to happen with all these guys during the offseason?
The one I'm most confident in is that at some point Villanueva is going to get an extension. I can't give you an exact date when that's going to happen. I'm sure the team wants to. I'm sure Villanueva wants to stay. Again, it will be for significantly more money than he signed on this most recent contract extension he did with the team. Foster and Finney gets a lot more murky. I'm kind of going to let the season play out and just see how Foster goes the rest of the way. You can make cases for keeping Foster, letting Finney go. You can make a case for cutting Foster and keeping Finney. My gut says that Foster will be kept because he's under contract, so that's the easier prediction to make. He's guaranteed contractually to be around if the team chooses, and just kind of knowing how they do business and Foster's plan to be here, it wouldn't be the greatest thing to cut him after just 1 year, and this is kind of the last deal he was going to sign. It happens. The NFL is a business, obviously, but my gut would tell me that Foster would be the guy that wins out.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, but
I'm not confident in that, to be clear. But that's just my gut's
I'm not. My gut tells me this might be it for him. But and then you spend the money on Finney. I mean, do you really want Finney to get away? I don't think you can keep both.
No, I don't think either. Because if Foster stays, Finney's going to say, well, there's no starting path for me. I want to start somewhere, so I'm going to go take money and opportunity elsewhere, which is totally fair.
And he could probably he could probably start for another team, couldn't he?
It's going to be your Bengals left guard in week 1.
Lord.
In 2020, he's going to hang out with Fred Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, he could. I think Finney could start.
I could start for 10 teams in football. I mean, the way the line depth is in the NFL today, absolutely, this guy could start, and he deserves to have that opportunity too. He's earned it.
And I think Villanueva, he definitely gets a contract extension prior to the start of the 2020 season. Okay, we went down an unexpected rabbit hole, but we had a little time to clear here.
Mm-hmm. Let's flip to the defense now, kind of going back to the Dolphins game. I just want to start with TJ Watt, and we know he's an elite player and the numbers he puts up, the energy that he plays with, and everything like that. But I really love when I wrote a post about this morning on Steelers Depot, his pass rush IQ, his ability to set up rushes, start with speed early, then counter with speed the bulls and swim moves, and just kind of counter with inside moves after tackle, start to cheat and expect the speed rush. So just the way that he's able to read the set and combine his hand use and win in a variety of different ways, just a special player and a guy that's going to be just an elite type caliber rush linebacker for the longest time, and just a home run hit of a first-round pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know people probably know that by now, but just watching that Dolphins game, I think just affirmed that all the more.
Here's the thing with him, and I posted some clips on him. Jesse Davis didn't stand a chance, did he?
No, and that's one of my Idaho guys.
Yeah, that's an Idaho Vandal guy too. Yeah.
So that would hurt me a little bit, but Watt just won that battle from literally the first snap of the game, the run snap. I mean, he beats Davis, doesn't even get a hand on him, and makes a tackle on Walton for a 2-yard gain, and that just set the tone for the rest of the game.
And boy, he would try to poor Jesse would try to overcompensate and overset on the outside, and it really didn't take too much effort for Watt to win inside on a few of those.
Right, when the tackle sets like that, and he's going to expect an outside rush because he's worried about being beat around the edge, then you can counter inside pretty easily.
And this was a guy that supposedly wasn't 100% last week either. Imagine if he was, and he still ended up playing, what would we say, 91, 93% of the snaps or whatnot there. So imagine if TJ Watt was healthy.
And then on the other side, give some credit to Bud Dupree. His run defense has been phenomenal this year. But tight ends cannot block him. I mean, whether that's the Dolphins guys, George Kittle couldn't block Bud Dupree at moments in San Francisco back earlier in the season. I mean, Bud Dupree and his pass rush has obviously grown too, but what he does as a run defender is really impressive. And I think he's always been a good run defender. The pass rush was always the part lagging behind the source of frustration, but he's really taken his game to a whole new level, not only as a pass rusher, but also as a run defender.
It's amazing that we're starting to get questions almost every day or every other day, either via email or on Twitter, about what do you think about the Steelers re-signing Bud Dupree? We wouldn't have got those anywhere close to those a year ago.
No, but it's fair, and they like him a lot. They've talked him up so much. I don't know. It's possible that they bring him back. Again, it will be very.
Man, I just don't see how you do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand because, this is a contract year and, then his play elevates and because he's going to be so expensive to bring back. But if you don't bring him back, I don't want to make decisions based off of the unknown. But if you don't bring him back, then what are you doing at outside linebacker next year?
Yeah, I understand you don't know what you're going to do. But on the flip side, to even prevent him from hitting free agency, you're going to have to put some sort of tag on him.
Well, you think there's no chance you can just work out a deal before free agency begins?
No, I don't.
I think there'd be a chance. I mean, again, you'd have to pony up. You'd have to give him a good amount of money. But
it would have to be higher than the tag amount.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you offer him 12 to 14 million per year, how that would hit him. I don't know. I think it's possible though that you could work out a long-term deal before free agency if you wanted to go down that path. I don't know if you have to put the tag on first.
All right, now would you go down that path?
Yeah, that's a much dicier question. I mean, it's a lot of money. It would depend on the exact structure of the deal, and that's me punting by talking about structure of the deal. I don't know. I mean, I've been really impressed.
We know how they do the deals. First year guaranteed money. And obviously, you'd have to probably give him $20 million in total in 2020. Would be the first year payout with him, and you're talking through the first 2 years of probably having to give him let's say $32 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot to pay him.
What's that? 2 years, $32 million. That's 16.
Now, obviously, I think the average out, once you average his new money out over the five years or so, it would turn out to be $15 million or so. Sure. But I think that's what it would take, and I just don't think I don't think it's right to go down that path.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning that way, just because of everything we've seen prior to this year. But it goes back to the question of then what do you do with that position? And again, I don't want to pay a guy $16 million or $15 million a year just because of the fear of how I'm going to address the spot. That's a bad financial decision to go off of that. But he has played well this year. He really has. Now you got to kind of weigh how confident you can get that going forward. Is he playing at if you threw out the first 4 years of his NFL career, just looked at this year in a vacuum, would you say that this guy is worth $15 million per year?
No.
No?
He's playing well. I don't think he's worth that, though. No.
I think he's close, just based on the way the market is and the premium put on edge guys and pass rushers in general.
I think you might have a little bit of pushing for him kind of narrative bias built in there.
Okay, I don't know. You said a bunch of words that don't really go together. So
it is. You really have been kind of higher than most on him for a while in defending him.
Yeah, but I also did not expect this year to happen. I think I've been very critical of him in moments too. I'm just saying in this year in particular, just if you, I'm not saying you can throw out those other years. I'm just saying if you did and you just said this is a potential free agent, what is he worth? Just given the nature. I mean, again, look at Zadarius Smith last year. Was he probably worth $60 million having an 8.5 sack season after having a pretty quiet start to his career? Probably not, but that's also the value that you got to pay for a pass rusher. He's doing a great job in Green Bay. So I'm not saying that I would pay him that, but I think he's having an excellent season that on its surface and alone is worth that kind of money. But again, you go back to reality here and say, well, you've only seen it for 1 year out of the 5. Can you trust that to make that investment going forward? And that's where you get into a real question mark for Bud Dupree.
I think he's having an absolute fantastic season. I'm glad to see it. He's finally living up, close to the high, the draft pick, the high draft pick, first round draft pick that you spent on him. But even so, there's still, I don't view him as a premier pass rusher off the edge still. He's great at run. I mean, he and he's never not been good against the run.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, look, James, is he James Harrison good? No, I'm not going to go that far, but he's right there,
Mm-hmm.
But he's still, in my opinion, not a premier pass rusher that I want to dump, what would essentially be a franchise tag amount average yearly value on.
Yeah, I understand, but I just think if you look at it just again from this year, you say this is a guy that's going to finish around 8 to 10 sacks, play really top level run defense, and a guy that's durable and not going to miss time and can drop into coverage a little bit too. That's worth a lot in today's NFL to bring all those things.
If you could only keep one, all right, who are you keeping, Hargrave or Dupree?
Hargrave's the better player by far and been the more consistent guy. The issue would come down is money factoring into this, or are we just saying just player for player?
I'm going to say because basically the money's going to be about the same, right?
Well, yes, but the reason why I ask is obviously because of the positional value, where you're paying Dupree to be an every down guy, and Hargrave's not going to be that. And there's no question Hargrave is the better player, and that's why I lean initially, because he's just the better player. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind about that. He's shown it for longer. The issue you would run into is that can you justify paying Hargrave whatever the number is, $13-14 million per year to play 55% of the snaps, and that's where the problem is. So on a talent level, it's Hargrave to me still in a runaway. But when you get into the value of it, then that becomes a murkier question.
Yeah, and unfortunately it doesn't. I mean, from where I sit right now, I think I was just asked this yesterday on the Twitter machine as well too. I can't see either one of them coming back.
If you had to answer that question, who would you take?
I would take Hargrave back in a heartbeat. But I mean, once again, if salary cap wasn't an issue, and you could easily pay a guy like that what he's worth, then yeah, even though you're not going to get a 90% a game snap player and nowhere close to it, because of the way they use their guys up front. But
that's the only issue I would have. I would be so excited if they got a deal done with Hargrave. I would do a cartwheel, and if Dupree got a long-term deal, I'd go, okay, I get it. So my reaction would be very different. But so that's why I think I would agree with Hargrave. But the question would be just the snap count and the value, and the cost per snap basically is going to be so much higher for Hargrave than it would be Dupree.
I think you try your best to try to keep as many guys as you possibly can, but we just know it's just not, it's not feasibly possible. And then, you look, you're gonna have to give. We already talked about Villanueva going to have to get a new deal. We expect Cameron Hayward to have to get a new deal. We expect Juju to have a new deal next offseason. I don't consider James Conner a slam dunk to get a new deal right now. I know most probably do, but man, this guy's got to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of concerns right now about running backs in general, paying them a lot of money. I mean, just look around the league. I mean, these guys, how many of them can survive the wear and tear and do it for numerous? Look at what's going on with Gurley now. I mean, do you really think Todd Gurley's going to be a Ram after this season on this current contract of his?
Probably not.
What about David Johnson up there in Arizona?
Mm-hmm. No, I get it. Yeah, we went through those arguments with Le'Veon Bell and the value of the position, and that's one reason why the team was fine letting Bell go, because they said, we got a third round pick here, fresh, not as much wear and tear. Let's just play him. So I understand that. It'll be interesting. I mean, how do you address? What are the odds that this team loses both Hargrave and Dupree this offseason?
I think it's
Sean
great.
Davis. So and Sean Davis too.
I think it's great that you see all three of them walk out the door.
I do too.
I think a very high probability. I'm not going to bet. I mean, look, the way Minka Fitzpatrick's playing right now. Sean who?
Davis is. I'm very confident Davis is gone. I'm probably more confident he's gone than the other two, Hargrave and Dupree.
I don't see any of them.
So I asked that to say, well, how do you address those positions? Because they're all going to have to be filled. Even Davis, although you have Minka, you still need a dime. You need a third safety. You probably need a dime guy too. I mean, that position was going to be held by Davis if and when he returns late in the season. Then you're going to need a nose tackle for Hargrave, and you're going to need a right outside linebacker for Dupree. So that's a lot to fill. That's some pretty important positions without a whole lot of free agent flexibility or draft capital to fix it.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I think you would, if you lose Hargrave, you can both address maybe a very lower valued, defense. Look, we've already talked about Billings would be kind of ideal, and he really shouldn't cost a lot, especially from a first-year cap perspective, with what he's likely to earn, with him. Kind of guy. Look, could you even bring back? I mean, it's still early, and I'm not advocating this, but I think it's worth. I mean, what's happening with Steve McClendon lately?
He's 30-something years old, and the Jets still, I think.
Yeah, I mean, with the Jets, I mean, he's a team. I'm asking, did they just give him a contract or something again, or I'm trying to figure out what his contractual situation is. Right.
2020. He signed through next season.
And what's his base salary? I don't have it in front of me.
For 2020?
Yeah, for 2020.
$1.25 million. So
yeah, that's cheap. That's cheap. Okay, I thought for some reason I was thinking it might be higher than that. But if you could get him at a minimum contract, he's still playing good enough. Where you could invest the minimum in a guy like him to bring him back. To play those kind of snaps along with a guy like maybe Daniel McCullers. Dan McCullers don't look like he's going away anytime soon.
No, they're going to keep bringing him back till 2072 probably. But yeah, I don't know how it's going to go. I wonder if they're going to look at Dupree and say, hey, we're losing Hargrave, we're losing Davis. We don't want to lose all those guys. We want to bring somebody back, and I think Dupree would be more logical just based on how much they're going to play him.
The thing with look, it goes back to what we think could happen with him. I think you address a lower level defense, nose tackle type, if you can, in free agency, something that's not going to crush you hardly any, and then go back into the draft, third or fourth round, and maybe try to find another one.
Yeah, that all sounds fair. So anyway, I know I took you down the rabbit hole there, but I wanted to go to the secondary briefly because we haven't talked about them a whole lot, especially a corner. And there's been some criticism of Joe Haden and how he's played. Some people worried about his drop-off. How have you kind of evaluated Haden, and do you see any sort of father time hitting Haden these last couple of weeks?
Not where it's going to affect next season, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
I think maybe when you get, let ask me the same question exactly 1 year from now.
Do you think he's playing well this season, just overall?
I haven't really I gotta admit, I haven't really sat there and broke down everything on him. I don't think it's been awful. No. I mean, I think he's playing okay.
Yeah, I think he's playing well. I know Miami was kind of rough, but I don't know if that was all on him. And guy's still great run defender, great tackler, can still make plays in the football. He's not that elite shutdown guy, but I don't know if he has to be now in a system where you have Steven Nelson, Mike Hilton's playing well, you got some safeties in the back end that can cover. I think he's playing well. I mean, there's going to be a drop off, sure, but I don't think it's as obvious as maybe some people I've seen on the internet make it out to be.
He plays well enough for what the Steelers asked them to do defensively. Maybe that's the better way to attack. Would I want him playing a lot of man-to-man stuff? No.
Well, that's bad because Steelers play primarily man coverage
a
now.
lot of press.
Okay.
Overall on that. Yeah, he has to cover a lot of man-to-man, but a lot of press where he has the more susceptible to being beat, off the line kind of deal. He's 59.1 grade, and I really haven't been paying attention to his grade this year, but 59.1 overall by Pro Football Focus right now. And look, we don't know exactly how they grade, but they're cut. They divide that thing up into like 3 different categories: run, defense, tackling, and coverage. And he's 58.5 in the coverage aspect, which is actually lower than his overall grade.
Mm-hmm.
We see him, kind of play the man off, if you will, and he could get by on that.
Yeah, I think he's still doing well. I wonder how it's going to look because he's now signed through, 2021, 2022?
Well, they just signed him to what?
That's what I'm asking. Yeah, it was a 2-year extension.
It was a 2-year extension on top of what he already had, right?
Right. So I wondered. I'm not sure if he's a guy that's going to make it through. He's signed through 2021. I wonder how that 2021 season's going to look. But I think right now he's playing well enough.
Here's the thing: you have, and look, he is cuttable. Even though you wouldn't want, you'd hope you wouldn't have to go that route. But next season he's got you're going to have to make a decision on him quick though, because he's got a roster bonus due on March 17th of 3.5. So that's kind of your option.
Mm-hmm.
Option year, if you will. So you're going to have to decide by the middle of March whether or not you want him, and if he survives past then, he's yours. Now the question then becomes, is he going to be worth the $7 million again in 2021? Mm-hmm. He might, maybe he will, but he is up there. The 2021 is a questionable year for him. I don't think so much 2020 right now, because look, you're going to hope you get a guy in Justin Lane that starts coming along here, but who is he more likely to supplant, Nelson or Haden, or either or?
Well, I wonder if he's got the ability to do either right now. We have to learn a lot more about Justin Lane. I would lean Haden over Nelson. Yeah, I don't think Hayden's getting cut for next year. They just signed him to the extension. They're not going to turn around and cut him. That's not generally how they do business. 2021, I think, is a lot more of a gray area. He'll be 32 at that point, making $7 million. Lane will be in his 3rd year at that point. So I think that becomes a question mark, but he should be back as your starting left corner for 2020. Very little doubt in my mind about that.
Right, and I think as we sit right now, Nelson will be back at least one more year too. There's no reason to think that he wouldn't be, right?
Yeah, the way he's playing, he's going to play out his contract. There's no reason to do anything with him. He's going to, he's earned a contract so far. Absolutely.
I'm not sure how we went down that rabbit hole, but here we are. Look, Vince Williams. What? He's still going to be worth his weight in gold next year?
I think so. I've been a big Vince Williams advocate. I think what he offers as a pass rusher, as a run defender, as a tackler, as an energy guy, I think his coverage is pretty much on par with Mark Barron, which is not to say it's great, but it's not that Barron's some sort of elite cover guy either, and we know that Barron has a good chance of being a one-and-done player, although they do like him, so I don't want to assume anything either, but for me, I'm keeping Vince Williams as long as I possibly can. And
Juju, you got to lock him up next offseason, right?
As in this upcoming offseason, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, you do.
And
what is it going to be? What's the cost on that going to
be?
It's obviously expensive, but I don't know what the dollar. Is it going to be top 5? Is it going to be top 10? Everyone's trying to one up the last guy, but I don't know how you're going to value him.
I don't know if he's going to be top dog, which is what is that? $22 million right now for Julio. Whew. That's a lot.
He's gonna be top. Yeah, he's not gonna be number 1, but he's gonna be top 5 or top 10.
I think you got to get him in that 18 million range, which is top 4.
Yeah.
Definitely higher than Mike Williams at 16.5.
Okay.
And DeAndre Hopkins is 16.2. It's going to be. I would think you got to get him to at least 18. Let's assume there's no movement anymore on this market right now. In other words, nobody gets paid before Juju at this point. I think you better at least be at about, let's say, 18.5.
Which makes him top 4?
That would make him top 3.
Behind only Julio.
And Michael Thomas.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I'm not opposed to that, but yeah, you're right. It's going to be, no matter how you slice it, it's going to be really expensive.
And what are you going to do with James Conner?
I hear you about the injuries. Yeah, I still think it's someone that you're going to try to get a team-friendly deal with the best way possible.
Here's the thing. We can have another market reset long before you have to make the decision on him, right? Because do you expect Gurley to be kept? Let's look at when if Gurley has any kind of triggers here. Gurley has a March 20th trigger, so he could be gone by then. Le'Veon Bell, do you think Le'Veon Bell's going to survive March?
Well, I don't know if they're going to cut him, but he might be somewhere else because Adam Gase doesn't like him the way that the old GM did.
I mean, he's due I don't know when that $4.5 million roster bonus of his is due, and I think it might even still be guaranteed either. So I think Bell could be a guy that's traded, for sure. So that would still keep him in the market as far as his average yearly pay, which is $13.125 million. David Johnson, I can't see him hanging on. What about Devontae Freeman and the Falcons?
He's not playing up to the contract, that's for sure. They almost traded him to Detroit. You see the rumors he was going to go to Detroit till the deal fell through?
Right. And then you have Saquon Barkley is the next on the list, and he's still on a rookie contract. So, if you could get James Conner do you think James Conner would sign for $8 or $9 million a year?
I don't know. I hope so, because I don't want to obviously pay him $13 million a year, but I just really like James Conner. I think he's a complete back. He's not at the Le'Veon Bell level, no, but man, he's been good. I know that the injuries are a concern and the wear and tear and all that's going to be a factor, but his play, I think, has just been consistently very good.
You paint me as if I don't like him.
No, I'm not painting that. I mean, you asked me the question. I just want to say that I would like to bring him back and without worrying about the money too much.
I like him as well too, but I do worry about the durability factor with him. When he's on, he's a great back. And boy, you want to talk about something else that stuck out in that tape, kind of mixing back in some tape talk. And we've talked about it a few times. It's not shocking, but he has become one of the league's better pass protecting running backs.
Yeah, he's a complete guy, and you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm probably not thinking about the injury factor enough, but he has always dealt with something, and that's going to be an issue because those things typically don't get better as backs get older and as they get more carries. So you're right. Like I said, I don't want to break the bank for James Conner. I'm with you, but I would love to be able to retain him.
The thing with him, and really, I guess is that you never saw Le'Veon, and you still don't. You never see Le'Veon take that wallop for some reason, right? Whereas James is a bull in a china shop kind of guy, and you see Conner get walloped,
Conner is Rocky Blyer, just straight ahead, take the shot. Le'Veon Bell's Franco. Franco would always kind of get out of bounds and just kind of save his body a little bit. So yeah, I think that's fair.
So it'll be interesting to see what do you try to string Conner out one more year and then go potentially the franchise tag route with him the year after,
Yeah, maybe. That's a good question. Now, Juju is obviously the higher priority than Conner.
Juju will get done. I'm confident that Juju will get done.
Yeah. Well, Conner, with backs, trying to keep your backs cheap, I could see this team waiting as long as possible to get Conner done.
The thing is Conner going to be any bit resentful having to wait another year,
Yeah, I'm sure he wouldn't love it, but not a whole lot he can do about it. Unless he really wants to hold out, but I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't think he would do that. But
yeah, but I think I'd be more okay with him going closer to free agency because is he really going to want to leave? I mean, hey, maybe he would. It's a business. If he's not getting the money he wants and the team's going to offer him money, he might do it. But he wants to stay in Pittsburgh.
Sure. All right, we went down a contract salary cap rabbit hole there. Sorry.
No, not a whole lot to talk about today. Did the show yesterday. Anything else from the Miami game you wanted to talk about with the All-22? I'm still working through some other stuff, but anything else kind of jump out to you?
I like the usage of the three linebackers in there. I thought that was creative. I actually saw sometimes too them able to use that, kind of sugar it up a little bit, and kind of confused the Miami offense as to maybe who might be coming. And we even saw sometimes that result in 3-man rushes that still got pressure.
And Watt had the one, yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, and how great is it when? I mean, we used to talk it wasn't too long ago. We're talking about, man, this team has to send 5 to get pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and Butler's blitz rates are way down this year.
And now we're talking about them being able to drop 8 and still get pressure with 3, and then in doing so, you create Ryan Fitzpatrick just basically chucking the ball down the middle of the field on a wing and a prayer, and it getting picked off. Pressure. Not enough talk about pressure versus sacks, and we've said that for years. But I mean, it really is evident more so, I think, this year when it comes to that. I mean, because of the quarterbacks you hit these and one thing we've seen throughout the start of this season, Alex, is we've seen quarterbacks hit early in games, whether it be 3, 4, 5-man pressures, and them take some pretty good wallops, and don't think that don't matter as games go on.
It does. It sets a tone early. Let you know how the rest of the game's going to go. Yeah, I think that more importantly that you're sending, the house. It's the way that Butler sends 4 creatively, where that fourth rusher, you never really know where it's going to be. I mean, just to kind of riff off of those plays you're talking about, at one point they pressured Fitzpatrick in the third quarter on 3 straight plays that led to on the third down for the Minka Fitzpatrick's second interception. And that was a 4-man rush with the 1-5-5 with just Cam Hayward playing over the nose, and it was Hilton and Vince Williams blitzing on that play, and Vince got free that had the pressure. On the play before was a 3-man rush that you referenced where Watt beat Davis with an inside move to get pressure. On the first play, Hayward beat, I think, Dieter, the left guard, on a 5-man pressure with Vince coming out of their base 3-4 to get pressure. So, I mean, you're just getting pressure in 5-man rushes, 4-man rush being creative, 3-man rush. I mean, you're doing it in every single way, and that's schematically a win, but also just the talent that's supreme for Pittsburgh right now. They can really get after the quarterback.
And the quicker you get pressure, the less time you have to cover, and that makes guys like Joe Haden less susceptible.
Yeah, that's why this team has 19 takeaways this year, because they're getting pressure and they're forcing the ball out quick.
And I keep going back to, and I put this on Twitter yesterday. Man, I have not been this excited about a defense, and on a 3-4 football team. In forever and a day, and it's just so sad now to look back and think about, man, just give them one more win. On what? And I don't think we talked about this either. I was going back through. I was going to post it last night, but I didn't get to it. Looking at the game by game adjusted net yards per passing attempt stat on a game by game basis, they had the Ravens under 1. And still didn't win that game.
How rare is that?
Yeah, exactly. How rare is that? I would have, maybe that's something to put in my off-season research folder to do. I don't think I ever realized it was that low. But you just, man, if they could have just have had one more win somewhere along the way, incredible.
The thing that I pine for is just, if you had this defense a year ago, what kind of team would you have? You just have the offense playing at that level. I mean, that is Super Bowl contender all day. And that's the thing that I think about at night sometimes.
Well, here's the thing, too. Just think of get one or two more turnovers last year that hit them in the chest.
Mm-hmm. And if you would have had last year's defense or this year's defense last year, you would have had that.
So, I mean,
it means nothing. I'm crying over
right.
spilled milk, but I just think about, man, how close it's been when the offense has played well, the defense hasn't carried it or picked it up, and defense is playing well, the offense is now slipping. You just want to get it together for 1 year. 1 year is all I'm asking for. But this is the best defense I've seen for Pittsburgh since 2010 when they went to the Super Bowl and lost to Green Bay. They're at that about that level of defense.
I mean, we'll see. Obviously, people will say, well, look, they played a few teams and they played a few no teams. So I think that might be fair. Okay, I mean, look, the Dolphins, yuck. Who was before that? I still view. Like, I know the Chargers are having their problems this year, and of course they just fired Wisenhunt too. But anytime you have a quality quarterback, it's always fearful.
Hmm.
Again, and they have one in Phillip Rivers, obviously. And then you go back through some of these other games. What is Lamar Jackson? Do we really know who Lamar Jackson is right now?
I think we're getting close, but you can't use the schedule. I know you're not doing it, but you can't use the schedule as some sort of point that the Steelers are benefiting from that. They played a tough schedule when you look at the whole thing. I mean, they've had Miami, sure, and Cincinnati, but they played New England, San Francisco. They played the two undefeated teams in football, and they played Baltimore. The Chargers have a decent offense. So, no, anyone that uses the schedule and pretends the Steelers had some sort of Patriots cakewalk is just misinformed.
What's their toughest game the rest of the season from a defensive standpoint? Is it the
The Rams?
Rams?
Yeah, I'd have to look at the schedule right now. I mean, Baltimore again is always going to be a challenge, but the Rams.
Or is it? I mean, look at you hate to judge quarterbacks just off their adjusted net yards per passing attempt, but Goff is down there. Mason Rudolph has a higher passer rating than.
The Rams are weird because you'll get some really bad versions of Jared Goff and company, or you get some weeks where they're firing. You had the game where Goff threw for 80 something yards, and last week Cooper Kupp goes for over 200 yards. So, I mean, you get a real feast or famine version of the Rams offense.
What do you think about Goff at this point? Obviously we should know enough about him right now, right?
Well, I don't study him enough to really be the arbiter to give an answer on that. It's been highly inconsistent. I guess it's been kind of like Dak, where you've had some weeks where you say this is the guy, and some moments where you say this is your quarterback, and some weeks where you say who is this guy? We got to move on. So it's just one of those things where it's tough to grade a quarterback because the answer seems to change every single week with guys like Kirk Cousins and Prescott and Jared Goff.
To show you how outdated passer rating stats are now. Mason Rudolph has a 97.5 passer rating. That is higher than Tom Brady, Lamar. I'm going to edit out that giggle. Higher than Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, Carson Wentz, Jimmy Garoppolo, Phillip Rivers, Marcus Mariota, Jared Goff, Kyler Murray and Daniel Jones. There's obviously, I'm leaving out some names, but to me they're kind of insignificant names though. So that gives you an idea about what you should think about passer rating. And I'm not trying to tear down Mason Rudolph here. I'm just trying to say, let's look at this in context, kind of thing here. Now, here's the other interesting thing when it comes to adjusted net yards per passing attempt, however, though. Tom Brady, rightfully so, probably higher than Mason Rudolph, right? 6.95. Tom Brady's never been a guy for a full season that's going to be up in the 8 or 9s.
Sure.
In that stat, obviously Patrick Mahomes still leads the league at 9.51, and you got Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers up over 8, where you would kind of expect those guys and all. But Tom Brady's sitting there at, I think Tom's a little lower than maybe what we expected. Maybe that has to do with kind of the turnover of wide receivers that he's had over there. But man, you got Jacoby Brissett, a guy the Steelers are going to face this week. It's 6.89, right under Brady. But let me rattle some of these off for you. You got Lamar Jackson at 6.7, Goff at 6.69, Mason Rudolph right behind him at 6.68. Everybody else, guys like Carson Wentz, even the great Jimmy Garoppolo behind him. And then, obviously you get down into the Daltons and the Daniel Jones and Mitchell Trubisky. Baker Mayfield, 4.40. Him and Sam Darnold at 3.07. Josh Rosen, bottom of the qualifying guys on here at 2.15. So, maybe they have some. Who would you rather have as your as maybe a guy that potentially could be your future guy right now? Mason Rudolph or Mitchell Trubisky. What's another good one to throw in there? Josh Allen. I think that's another good one to throw in this mix.
I would probably rank it. I would rank it. Josh Allen first, Mason Rudolph second, Trubisky third.
I mean, that's a fair grouping, right? Or no?
Yeah, well, I think to me, and again, I'm not watching these teams super closely the way I watch Pittsburgh. I have Allen in a tier above the Rudolph and Trubisky's of the world, and I might have Rudolph in a different tier than Trubisky too, in a better tier. But I mean, statistically, I know what you're saying.
Once again, this game against the Colts will be, I think, a good line in the sand that we talked about the other day when it comes to Rudolph here. And I think for this, going back to the defense against a guy like Brissett and T.Y. Hilton and along those lines there. So I thought we'd be a good point to talk a little bit about that.
Yep. Anything else you wanted to talk about today? I wanted to mention earlier, and this is my mistake with the running back situation. There is an article, this was in the Trib yesterday, about Benny Snell, and I don't know really what to make of it. I imagine not much, but there was a drug charge he had for marijuana possession back in college that was withdrawn. I don't know now if the league can step in with that now that case has been settled, but that was something that came out in the Trib, implying maybe some sort of consequences from the NFL, but I can't see that being a suspension. He may be part of the whatever the substance abuse, or not even whatever it is, the drug program that you're going to get tested all the time with, but I can't imagine anything of significance is going to happen to Benny Snell.
All right, now when did this incident happen, though, back in August 30th, right?
Was it?
I mean, I thought it was this year.
You're right. I apologize. Yep, you're right. It was August 30th. My mistake.
All right. So, I mean, he was in the NFL at that point.
Yeah. I apologize. I read that incorrectly. Yeah, it was as this year when he was a Steeler.
All right. So now the drug charge was withdrawn, as is common practice in Ohio in cases involving small amounts of marijuana. I guess at what stage, I hate going back and having to re-look at the damn policy and, stuff as far as that goes. I don't think he's subject. I think what it is he's in the program now.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to get T-tested 8 times a month.
And it'll be interesting to see. He's probably a guy that, he got real quiet there too. And more recently, but all this stuff ends up coming to light, Yeah.
He initially was pulled over for speeding, and that's when the officer found the marijuana. So that's how that came about. Again, I can't see a suspension or anything like that coming for Benny Snell.
Look, I mean, I'm definitely not. I mean, I live in a state where marijuana's legal and all now, and all. I don't get on anybody for that. But I mean, we are talking about NFL rules here, as well. So.
Yeah, and it's still obviously federally illegal. And the NFL, doesn't allow it because you can't allow it for some states and not allow it for others. PA is still not legal for recreation. This was in Ohio anyway, not even in PA. I don't know what Ohio's laws are, but either way, it's still not allowed by the NFL.
I think hopefully maybe it scared them straight a little bit,
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this was August 30th. I think he's talked a little bit since August 30th, but we'll see. We'll keep you updated. I'm not expecting a whole lot to come of it, though. Not anything relevant for us to talk about, at least.
Yeah, hopefully not.
He's just going to probably get stopped in a lot of hotel lobbies to have to do a urine sample probably from now on, but not our problem.
All right, what else do we have? What else stuck out to you in that game?
That was the bulk of it. I still want to go through the tape some more so we can talk about it a little bit on Friday's show. Mason Rudolph had an interesting comment that I think the readers really responded with, and it's always hard to see how much it happens, but to hear Rudolph tell, he says that Ben's really helped him out a lot, and even Rudolph was surprised by how helpful and a good teammate to Ben's been while he's recovering from his injury, but helping Rudolph prepare as a starter.
Boy, Ben was real active on that sideline the other night, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he absolutely was, and he's still wearing that brace, whatever, bionic arm-looking thing. But I mean, it's got to be a difficult situation for Ben because he's never had to deal with this before. He's dealt with injuries, obviously, but never a season-ending type injury where he just can't play, and he knows he can't play. He's not going to be back out there this year, so I'm sure it's an adjustment for Ben. I bet you it's weighing on him, but I appreciate him still being engaged and helping out a guy like Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, absolutely. He was. There's one point the cameras caught him really being engaged with Mason on the sideline there as well, and that most definitely is good to see because, not a lot of in-helmet perspective still when it comes to a guy like Rudolph. So, he's obviously getting more and more every day. James Conner, AFC. One thing we forgot to say, James Conner, AFC Player of the Week for Week 8 for his efforts there. That's I think that's the second time during his career, right? He got it last year, I think Week 8 as well too.
It was, yeah. So Week 8's good. Not lucky 7, lucky 8's for James Conner.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. You got anything else? Did we miss anything here?
No, I think that's everything. I know we don't have really any reader emails since we just did the show yesterday. There wasn't really anything new that anyone submitted. I don't know if you want to check the inbox here one last time. Again, Bengals benching Andy Dalton for Ryan Finley on Dalton's birthday, which, but that's that situation. Yeah, the quarterbacks at AFC North. It's been, someone had a tweet yesterday that last year you had Flacco, you had Tyrod Taylor start for Cleveland, you had Ben, obviously, and then Dalton, and then you fast forward a year from now, and it's Lamar, it's Baker, it's Mason Rudolph, and did I forget? Who am I forgetting there? Anyway, it's been a lot of turnover in the AFC North, so it definitely has a different feel than a year ago.
Sure does, and I actually do have one that just came in this morning from a Doug Walter, and I think we might have already answered it. Dave and Alex, hope all is well. A short and sweet question for you this week. All things being equal, would you rather have Bud Dupree or Javon Hargrave as a Steeler in 2020? We're psychic, Doug. This just came in about an hour ago, looks like. I think how I'm kind of amazed that we hit on that same topic there. But Doug, I hope we answered that for you because it was kind of a timely question on your part there. Let's see.
To answer that concretely with the caveat of all things being equal, because I know I kind of hemmed and hawed about value and stuff, Hargrave over Dupree if all things are equal.
All right.
And I think you would agree.
Yeah.
I think most people would agree on that.
This one, I don't know if we got to this one the other day from Jeff Berg or not. I'm curious to know if on the All-22 you may have noticed whether anyone was open on routes across the middle of the field. It seemed like most of the throws were to the sideline. I felt like the middle of the field was not utilized. It seemed like most throws were outside the numbers. I'm not complaining necessarily. I would just like to see the whole field used. Mason's young and there's plenty of room for development. I just want to see dump-off options available when the deep passes aren't available, and it seemed like there weren't many dump-off players available on the TV view. Maybe there were on the All-22. He also goes on to say, folks, pay the $25 for the ad-free version of Steelers Depot. It's awesome not having to constantly click to make the ads go away, and we're supporting the hard work of Steelers Depot Group. Thanks, Jeff, for that. Jeff, look, we just talked a little bit. I think you go on my Twitter feed too. The throw that I talked about, Mason making over the middle to Juju about 11 or 12 yards down the field was one good throw. Now, did he? He obviously tried another one to Washington that he threw behind. What other ones over the middle are we missing? There was a couple of them kind of between the numbers. One, I think, one or two, there was an opportunity maybe to get picked. I think that were kind of late getting out. That you'd like to see the ball get out a little bit earlier on. That ended up, I think, being pass breakups there as well too. Now, was there a time or two maybe he should have checked it down? Possibly, yeah. But I don't remember feeling kind of red flagged about him not throwing to the middle of the field against the Dolphins.
I think they've done a better job of that in recent weeks. I think you probably still want to see more of it. I think the assessment of they throw it vertically outside the numbers and outside the hash marks is pretty broad in the NFL, but outside the numbers more than they do across the middle. I think that's fair to say. So I would like to see them attack the middle of the field in that 10 to 15 yard range more often. I think they got a little better at it against Miami, and I hope to see that continue. I'm not sure what all was open that he might have missed. I know on the fourth down that was thrown behind Washington over the middle, Deontay Johnson also broke open, but I think him throwing to Washington was fine. He just was behind. His mechanics were poor on that play. So I'd have to go back and really take a good hard look at that. I think it's something they want to utilize more and need to utilize more, but I think you have seen some progress made there from compared to the first month of the year where they weren't completing anything over the middle of the field.
What kind of throws are we still waiting on to see Mason? Some back shoulder.
Yeah, I think he had to try to throw in the Washington on the right sideline that was negated by a Juju penalty anyway, or really they snapped it too early. But yeah, I haven't seen back shoulder. I know you're going to talk about the whole shot. I really haven't seen the Dave Bryan classic whole shot against cover 2.
We've seen a similar type. The throw to Juju probably would have made it in a whole shot, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't cover 2, but yeah, kind of a similar idea. I'd have to go down to a route tree there. I mean,
there's not many though. I mean, we've seen him throw to curl, we've seen him throw to comeback, we've seen him throw.
A real post. I mean, has there been a real post that they've hit on? I don't know if they've really hit on one of those. I did it in preseason. It's to Washington, I think, but I'm not sure if they had.
I think if he has kind of hit a deep post yet. I mean, obviously we've seen to go on the outside. We've seen pretty much everything, I think, except for kind of back shoulder. He
been a corner route. They had attacking
we've seen the slot fade to Juju. Maybe a traditional fade. I mean, we saw that during maybe the preseason, though, didn't we? Maybe not during the regular season. So there's still a few more throws. Kind of like to see him check off the list, you know, for regular season throws. Not many, but there are a few. And a lot of that, well, you know, back shoulder is going to come with timing. You know, working with these receivers more, kind of stuff. But look, I mean, I'm excited about this Colts game, Alex, from several angles here. You know, I want to see Mason kind of put this thing kind of all together, if you will, and I want to see how this defense plays against a tougher, a more complete offense, if you will.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're waiting for Rudolph to really have that game where you feel great about it. I think he's played well in a lot of these games, but you are looking for that signature game. And I think the more experience he gains and the more chemistry he gets with his receivers and the more comfortable Fichtner is with figuring out what works best in the offense for himself, then the closer you are going to get to that. So, yeah, the Colts are going to be an awesome test because, again, they are a very well-coached team.
All right, with that, it kind of feels like we had a Seinfeld show today, right? A show about nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, that's all right.
Did you watch? Are you a big Seinfeld fan or no?
I'm in that weird in between where I've watched it. It used to be on TBS. They probably still do the reruns of it. A casual. I can get the soup Nazi stuff. Anything deeper than that, I'm probably not going to be able to get.
What's your go-to kind of older sitcom? Were you ever an Office guy or no?
Yeah, yeah. I like The Office. Yeah.
See, I never really got into The Office. Yeah, never did.
Yeah, Office, Parks and Rec, which isn't, I mean, it's older, but not that old.
I never got into that either.
Yeah, I don't really watch any TV these days, though. I watch stuff on YouTube. I'm the typical millennial. I watch people play video games on my laptop. That's kind of I was doing that before the podcast today, so that's my life.
What, Madden or what?
I mean, it's a variety of things. There's one channel I watch. He plays a variety of stuff, but NCAA football, which might be coming back, Dave, in next year or two. That'd be you will never hear from me again if they make a new NCAA game because 14 was an awesome.
Are you gonna go pro?
Yeah, no, but yeah, just random stuff. Watch some guys play NHL and NCAA and 2K and stuff like that.
So let me get this straight. You watch other people play video games.
Yep, I do.
Evidently, that's a thing. You know,
the guys I watch, their full-time job is just playing video games and recording it. But if you're dedicated to it, the internet, you gotta love it.
I mean, at least when you listen to us, you can do other things. You know. You don't have to watch us, thank God.
Yeah. But now go. But you don't watch anything on YouTube. You don't watch.
Man, I stay buried in the. If it's football related, I do. Obviously some music stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some old War Docs stuff, you know. But other than that, no, man. I stay buried. I stay buried in the tape. If I'm not on the Twitter machine or writing a post or whatnot, I am watching tape.
And then you're set up. You have a TV that you put up that runs the video through that hooked up to your laptop.
Yep, I got two TVs. I got I got two regular desktops in here, one laptop, and a couple of TVs.
Eat your heart out, John Gruden. No one outworks Dave Bryan.
Yeah, Yeah, always football going on in here. And sometimes the days to get away from me, I forget. You'll get into even think, oh man, I wanted to watch the Penguins game or the Pirates. I think I watched 5 Pirates games beginning to end.
You didn't miss much
this year. What do you think about them firing?
Everybody.
Yeah,
I mean, Hurdle. I like Clint Hurdle a lot, but with the way the season was, with all the infighting in the locker rooms, that stuff I think you just gotta move on from. Huntington, I get it. I'm not mad about it at all. But I just want to have the caveat is that Hurdle and Neil Huntington and that group helped bring the Pirates back to playoff relevancy. I know the last couple of years have been tough, but I don't want to forget how bad it was when they got here, what they turned this team into for a 3-4 year span. Because I think they should always get credit for that, because they turned this team into a playoff team again.
I mean, we've seen that you don't have to be the biggest market to win it, right?
Sure, anyone that says the Pirates can't win because they're a small market that's just a lazy excuse. It's tougher, absolutely, but it's possible. And had they not traded away, Austin Meadows and Shane Baz and Glass, now I get because he struggled so much in Pittsburgh. You've had the potential you've gotten back to the playoffs and you've had the potential to have good players. It just hasn't worked out. So you can't blame the market for that.
Right. You just got to make better organizational decisions, and it just seems like anybody that comes up through the minor leagues is gone with another team playing in the playoffs or whatnot.
Right. Well, it's a payroll issue too. It's got to go with Nutting to spend more money too, because the payroll's been abysmal, and you can afford. I'm not saying to spend like the Yankees, but you could spend 10% more on your payroll than you have been.
All right, that's enough of the Pirates podcast. That's about my depth of knowledge there.
You did miss a good Penguins game last night, though. I turned it on in the background as I was working.
I missed it. I missed it for sure. Okay, with that, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. You can follow the show The Terrible Podcast at Terrible Podcast. I'm mixing all this stuff. Oh, a little bit breaking news here. Domestic violence related charges against Steelers outside linebacker were withdrawn in Fayette County Court today on Anthony Chicklow.
Then he might be coming back then, I guess.
Yeah, so maybe he'll be coming back here. I mean, the league still, can obviously,
sure.
With the policy and all, still do, take action against him, but we'll definitely see here. So let's try this again. In the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do, want to donate to the show, go to SteelersDepot.com, hit the donate button up right navigational bar. If you want to get an ad-free version like our buddy Jeff Berg and several others have done, go to SteelersDepot.com, hit the ad-free button for $25 for 1 calendar year. You can have an ad-free version of SteelersDepot.com. So we'll be back on Friday. We already have a Colts beat writer lined up for the Friday show, so that should be fun. In the meantime, Alex and I will start hitting the tape, previewing that game. The first injury report of the week for the Steelers on Wednesday will be out later today. We'll have that up on SteelersDepot.com as well. And in the meantime, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.